Welcome to Motorcycle News. We're here in Slovenia testing the new Suzuki GSX-8TT and the GSX-8 single T. These are two new retros from Suzuki based on the GSX-8S middleweight naked platform, but with a bit of a retro bent. So everything from the waist down is a familiar package. There's no real changes there. Engine, suspension, brakes, all that stuff. But on top, obviously, we've got new bodywork and a few other little tweaks as well, which we'll get into. First, I'm going to go find my helmet and then we're going to go out for a ride. The bike I'm on now is the double T. So you get this little bikini fairing, a little belly pan as well, which obviously you can't see from where I'm sitting, and a slightly different seat as well, a slightly more racier colour. And it's slightly lower, actually 5mm lower at 810mm, but both share the same architecture, which actually comes from the GSX-8S middleweight naked, which was MCN's 2023 the naked of the year, and for good reason. Every time I ride one of these 800cc parallel twin family from Suzuki, I'm always surprised at just how punchy they are. You kind of forget a little bit because they claim 82 horsepower at the crank, translate to mid-70s at the tyre, which doesn't sound a lot, but it's quite a long stroke engine and it makes all its go between sort of 3 grand and sort of maybe 7 or so, and that's what you're always in and out of that nice fat bit of torque on the road in reality. So while it doesn't rev like the Hornet 750, it's a really sort of fun, pleasurable and quite potent, pokey little engine for what it is. And that's why we kind of, that was the main reason we gave it the award. But also the chassis as well. It's sort of a relatively long wheelbase, but the suspension's quite firm and it steers really nicely. It's quite confident aspiring, even though it comes on fairly average tyres. They're done up road sports, and this is very much more of the same. So in this kind of capacity as a retro that you might want to do a bit of cruising on and perhaps not treat quite as aggressively as a naked, it makes arguably even more sense, I would say, because it just suits, as I am now, just kind of pottering along, enjoying this scenery. I mean, look at that, that's outrageous. I mean, the good thing about the 8S chassis is just how composed it is. I mean, it's not quick steering, but it is light steering, so there's no real effort to do it. So, I mean, look, just swinging through these easy as you like. I'm not even shuffling around in the seat, I'm just pushing a bit of counter steering. And the benefit of having that long wheelbase compared to something like the Hornet, which is kind of much flightier and faster turning, is that it just gives you so much confidence. And I've got no idea where we are really. I've sort of broken off from the main group and I could quite easily get myself lost, but so I've got no idea what's coming. But I've kind of got the faith that I can kind of go into a turn, I can hold on a bit of brakes, and forks are nicely damped, so there's no sort of pinging back too little rebound. It doesn't sort of bury itself into the floor as soon as you touch the brakes. And the shock's pretty decent too. Probably the sort of the weak part of the equation there is it does ping back a little bit more. It's kind of lacking a little bit of rebound, and in all honesty, these basic shock absorbers from any manufacturer really, after sort of a couple of thousand miles, they already started going off, which is a bit of a shame. But that's how they are, and the shock's obviously easier to rectify than a set of forks. You'd be throwing expensive clutches and all sorts into trying to get that right, whereas I think these are okay to a point for a lot of riders. They're well damped, like I say. Comfort sort of factor is pretty good too. Not really much to complain about there. So, as I said while I was riding, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the way these bikes ride. And in fact, actually, some of the little gripes I had with the GSX-8S, and I mean, the suspension was a little bit harsh when I first rode one. I think it's probably actually because today is so hot. The suspension's probably a little bit looser, the oil's a bit warmer and things like that. And it's just got that little bit more cush, which the S didn't have when I first rode it. But it's still really supportive, and we've been on some really stunning roads here. I mean, if you're looking for an alternative riding holiday to the usual France, Germany, things that we do from the UK, this is a good spot. But this really handled those really twisty, kind of constant switchbacks and long bends, all of it. And unless you were really vicious on the brakes, it didn't upset it at all. So no qualms there, and also the engine as well. Like we've said before, this thing really sort of punches beyond its spec sheet. 82 horsepower doesn't sound like a great deal, but this thing has got such good torque in the middle. You've everything from about 3,500 RPM through to sort of 7 or 8. It's really strong, so you're just constantly rolling on in and out of that and really enjoying it. And this feels like a much punchier bike. It feels like it's got more than 100 horsepower until the point where you do kind of start running out of puff because it's held back a little bit, I guess.
But most of the time, it's not a problem. It's kind of great at sort of 80, 90 miles an hour if you've got space to do so.
I'm not sure this is necessarily positioned correctly in the market. I mean, for starters, it's just short of £10,000 in the UK, which is a whacking, at the moment, is £2,500 more than the GSX-8S is based on. And it's got a few bits and pieces that are different. Obviously, there's the new areas and a couple of other bits and pieces that developed over and above that. But it's not as if you're getting extra parts, you're not getting better forks, different shock or different brakes. The only kind of real mechanical change is a lithium-ion battery, which helps cut weight down. And slightly bigger fuel tank at 16.5 litres instead of 14. But other than that, this is an 8S and it rides exactly like that, which is a good thing, broadly speaking. But where does that extra money go? Suzuki said it's because they've made some nice finishes on this. And yeah, fair enough, there's some nice badges and like these kind of sort of raised decals there, things like that. But I'm not convinced. I mean, they claim things like the side cases and some of the little radiator cowls and things have got sort of more premium finishes to them, but without sort of really scrutinising them side by side and maybe testing the depth of the paint or something like that, I don't think you'd really notice. So yeah, sounds like marketing spiel more than anything else. So I had a original SV650 back in the day, naked one, carby one, and this feels like a more grown-up modern version of that, and that's a great thing. But in this case, it might all be for now if people don't think that this is worth £10,000. And personally, I'm not feeling it, but I'm not necessarily the buying public for a bike like this. So tell me what you think, or tell us what you think. And if you think it's worth it, then drop it down in the comments. Maybe slightly cheaper single T. I think by and large we're focusing on this bike because it's the slightly sexier of the two. I think it's kind of better executed. I mean, some unkind commenters have pointed out that it looks a bit like a CB650R, something like that, or even a certain CF motor, I think it's the 700 CLX. Yeah, which is pretty damning when they're trying to align it with the early 70s T500 Titan 2-stroke, which again is a little bit of an odd thing to do.
But as I said on the ride, my reservation with this is, have Suzuki pitched it correctly? Now, in the flesh, this thing looks great, and I actually quite like this paint, but obviously they're harking back to the GS1000S. It seems like an absolute kind of own goal to not do a Wes Cooley style blue and white, or the red with the white stripe that Yoshimura used as well. And the same with this. I mean, this is kind of, it's a nice colour, but it's a little bit flat. It's a bit underwhelming. And I think really to sort of really capture that 70s vibe, they had a T500 in the presentation here, and that's a beautiful metallic blue. And again, they've kind of not bothered to sort of continue that sort of model lineage and history through into this bike. So I'm not sure why they've not done that. That would really kind of perk this bike up and make it feel a little bit less dowdy, and probably kind of push aside some of those comparisons with Hondas and CF motos that look similar-ish. But the price is the big one for me. I mean, just over sort of £9.5 for this one and nearly 10 for this, that's a lot of money. I suspect at some point they will probably come down in price because they'll need to. You may think differently. If you do, please drop a comment down below, because from where I'm sitting, asking £2,500 for this one over the GSX-8S is a bit rich. But I stand to be proven wrong, and in some ways I'm hoping proven wrong, because in isolation, brilliant bikes, and I think they'll probably have the beating of the XSR 700, which is getting a bit long in the tooth. The Z650 RS as well is a little bit old hat, and it's a pretty weedy motor in comparison to this grunt monster here. So thank you for watching this review. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you liked it, drop a like and then subscribe as well, and we'll bring you the next one.